Okay, trigonometry. There are two types of a trigonometry. The first one will be right-angled trigonometry, which we were going to do today. And second will be non-right-angled trigonometry, which we will do it later. Now there's a couple of things underneath of right-angled trigonometry, which will be trig ratios or trigonometry ratios. And the second one will be the angles of elevation and depression. Now, right angle triangle, that's what we're going to use. Now remember, trigonometry is all about triangles, so it'd be really wise to just stick with the triangles, okay? Especially for this one, right angle triangle, guys. Okay, so let's have a look. Now, why do we use trigonometry? For to find the unknown sides or unknown angles of triangles. For this case, right angle triangle. And then first thing, if you think about right angle triangle, what can you think of? First thing in your mind coming up is Pythagoras Theorem. Yes. So Pythagoras Theorem, and we're going to use trig ratios. So there's three trig ratios. We're going to learn: sine, cosine, and tangent. Okay, so let's see if I can put this in here. Sine, cosine, and tangent. And we're going to use the angles for this. So we're going to use theta. So I'm going to use sine theta, cos theta, tan theta. So all lowercase. Yeah. So that's what we're going to use for trig ratios. And then elevation and depression later on. So let's have a look at trig ratios, guys. Now, trig ratios, I just told you, sine, cos, tan. Now, you probably heard about this, SOHCAHTOA. Now, this is a great way of memorizing all these sine, cosine, and tan. And this first letter is the trig ratios, okay? And these two are the ones that actually indicating the sides of the right angle triangle, the names of that. So let me draw right angle triangle, okay? And that's my angle that I'm looking at. Now, do you remember the side is opposite to right angle, and which is the longest side of the triangle is hypotenuse, okay? And then opposite to the angle is opposite. Now, the only line with two angles on it is adjacent. So you need to remember all these three sides, yeah? And these sides are these ones, okay? Second one. Now, remember, it's a trig ratio, so it's going to be fraction form. So sine theta equals, now what that really means is opposite over hypotenuse, okay? And then cos theta, have a guess, what would that be? Adjacent over hypotenuse. And then tan theta will be opposite over adjacent, okay? So that's why it is very, very handy to remember and memorize this SOHCAHTOA. Now, H is soundless. So just remember, so as meaning as like there's a H at the end. So you have to have 3 letters, okay? All right, so let's go on with questions, guys. So I think we're ready to do some questions here. So let's have a look. Find x correct to 2 decimal place. So I will underline 2 decimal and x. Okay, so that's my x, and then I will have to find the x value. It's an unknown side. Now, first step is you need to label each side. So that's my hypotenuse because it's directly opposite to the right angle. And then opposite to the angle is opposite. Now, I am not going to label this side as adjacent because I don't have any information for this one. It's just empty. Even this one unknown, but I do have something like x in it. So and then I will write SOHCAHTOA. And I've got O and H to use. Which trig ratio has O and H? Yes, the first one, which is the sine. Okay, so I'm going to go sine, the angle given 50 degrees in 23 minutes equals opposite over hypotenuse. Opposite over hypotenuse. Okay, so that wasn't too bad. Now, when unknown is on the denominator, we just have to swap it. Yeah, so it'll be x equals 37.89 divided by sine 50 degrees in 23 minutes. Now, don't forget, when you do this in your calculator, you'll go 50 and a little dot minute and a degrees, minute and seconds, and then then you press 23 and you press the button again. Okay, so that's what you've got to do for your calculator steps. Okay, and obviously you've got to press sine as well. So when you do that, you will get 49.19. So I'm going to just leave it as a 2 decimal place. That's what it says. Okay, excellent. Next one. Now this time we have to find angle, unknown angle. Yeah, correct to the nearest minute. So I'm just going to underline that. That's what I want. What was the first step, guys? First step was labeling the sides, the triangle sides. Now the side with 2 angles is my adjacent. Yeah, remember that? And opposite to the angle is opposite. Now I am not going to worry about this part because there's nothing there. So, and then I will write SOHCAHTOA. And what have we got? O and A. O and A. Yep, that's 10. So I'm going to go tan theta equals opposite over adjacent. Okay, so that wasn't too bad. Now, this is the part. We have to make it theta the subject by itself. That's what it means. So when tan goes to the other side, it becomes tan inverse. Now, what does that mean in a calculator? You got to do shift, and 10. That's what you got to do. All right. So when you do that in your calculator, let's see if I can show you. So turn it on. I'm going to go 10, shift 10. That's what you're going to get. And I'm going to put in the fraction, and then I'll put 32 over 47 and then close it. All right, so that's what I'm going to get, but that's not in a degree form, isn't it? So I'm going to press this little button over degree, minute and second, and I will get this. So it says to the nearest minute, I'm going to go 34 degrees 14. No, because the second part has more than half, which is more than 30. So it's going to go round up. So it'll be 34 degrees and 15 minutes. Okay, so that's what I've got. Now, next question is about depression and elevation. Now, what does that mean? If something is elevating from the ground, that's elevation angle right there. Okay, and then something is depressing, angle will be from the top to going down. Okay, so that's the angle of elevation, and that's the angle of depression. Now, if you think about this, the only thing you need to really think about this is, first thing you notice that we're using right angle triangle. Yep. Okay, so elevation, depression, they're all about right angle triangle. We're still on a right angle triangle, guys. And what you notice, elevation, depression, they're all happening on a straight line, okay, from the ground, from the top, okay, the ceiling or something like that. And also another thing you should notice is that these top and the bottom is a parallel to each other. Okay, what does that mean? It means depression, angle of depression and angle of elevation are the same because they are alternate angles on the parallel lines. Okay, so that's what happens. So knowing all this, let's do the question, guys. So question 3, from the top of a 250 meter building, the angle of depression 250 is 35 degrees. How far? Okay, so we want to know the size, yeah? So I'm going to put it as x. If it was a angle, I'll put the theta. Okay, how far is the car from the foot of the tower, the bottom of the tower? Answer correct to the nearest meter. There's no decimal. Now, first thing you got to do, no matter what kind of question, whether it's elevation or depression, just draw right angle triangle. Okay, you can't go wrong with that. And we're going to put all the information we were given. 35 depression, angle of depression, so that will be going down 35, which is the same as that. Okay, and the building, the height of building was 250 meters. Okay, and that was a building. Okay, that's a building. And the foot of building to the car, I'm going to draw a cute little car there. It's not very nice. Anyway, so from here, that's the car here and the foot of that, and that's what we are looking for, x. All right, so after that, it's not too bad, yeah? So I'm just going to sketch a little bit. 250, 35, x. That's what we're looking at. Now, same thing happens here. We're going to use the SOHCAHTOA here. First thing first. So we sketch the graph diagram, and then second, we have to label it. Okay, so that's opposite to the angle. It's opposite. Line with the two angles is adjacent. All right, and then third step, do you remember, is SOHCAHTOA. Write it down. We got O and A. Which one do we use? O and A, O and A, O and A. Yes. So we're going to use that 10. So I'm going to use 10. 35 degrees equals opposite over adjacent. So 250 over x. Again, I'm going to have to swap this. X equals 250. 10, 35. Is that right? And what do I get? I will get, if you put that in your calculator, 357.037 ... But what's the question say, guys? To the nearest meter. So my final answer should be 357 meters to the nearest. Oops, my writing is a little bit funny there. And then that's my answer. Okay, well done.